Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous. I'm Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo and this is episode 39. On today's episode we'll talk about the Hangar Patch, the M50, the reworking of the Pledge Store, and of course a couple of other little tidbits that you might not know about. Alright, let's get on with the news, alright? So in the last week we've had quite a bunch of things happening. July report. We had a new milestone hit with the $49 million. We also had a reworking of the website. We had the M50 being released, and there was just an abundance of stuff that came out. So to begin with, Hangar Patch 12.5 hit, and we saw the going away, the resolving of the rubber banding effect that was happening in multiplayer. I can tell you, now that I got my invite, it is gone. It's not so easy to play that, as you can see me dying here over and over and over again, but it's fun nonetheless. So the Hangar Patch brought in some balancing of weapons and ships. It got rid of rubber banding, and most importantly, they implemented systems that would make it easier for them to track down bugs and squash them in the future. That's the most important piece. Because this being an alpha, those are the systems that you want in place now. Of course, later on, as time goes on, we're going to see more and more of the game hit beta. But while it's an alpha, it's important to get these type of things done. How are we going to test and squash bugs, right? And that's one of the biggest things that was in here. And of course, there is the jukebox. Can someone please tell me how I could put my own music on that thing? I mean, I love the Star Citizen soundtrack. Well, what little of it we get to hear right now, the 2 or 3 tunes that are on here. But I'd really love to be walking through my hangar and just hear Dark Side of the Moon going off, wouldn't you? Anyway, if anyone knows a way to do that, I'm sure there's like some kind of hidden folder, or maybe a folder right there under my nose, so close it would bite it off if I was, staring at it. But if you know the way to do that, please send it to me and I'll put together a tutorial and get it out to y'all. Oh, and by the way, we're gonna break here. Remember, cut here, and we're gonna talk about who gets to win my extra jukebox. Hey everyone, it's Nikki Batgirl D'Angelo, and I'm about ready to give away the jukebox. And let's see, we have Ben, and he's the only one that actually put his name in, so let's see who wins. It is, well, Java's not working. Sorry Ben, you don't work because Java's not working. Well, actually, it's not working because there's not 2 people in there. Actually, this is just pointless. Ben, you're the only one that actually put in for the contest, so you win. Next week, I'd like to give away another jukebox because I think it's pretty cool. And if you want to be the person that wins that jukebox, please comment below by stating, hey, I'd like to win the jukebox. All right, now that we're back from that segment, let's move on. The M50, to me, was one of the biggest things that I was waiting for. And it's because I love the game and I can't wait to get into the Squadron 42 scripted missions. I can't wait to get into the player universe and be able to trade and to take on mercenary missions and bounty hunter missions and own facilities and items like that. But I thought this racing element in the game would be intriguing. Ever since I read the series about the Murray Cup inside of the jump points, I've been dying to take a ride out to the Ellis system and see the course and fly around it in one of my ships. Yeah, I know it's only a game, but Chris is building this living, breathing universe that we could step into, and having something extra like being able to race is going to be fun, and I can't wait to see it. In fact, I envision it getting so big, which it probably won't, but if it does, being able to report on some of the races as they're going on. God, I hope they really make a good mechanic here. But, there's a lot of other things that have to go in the game before that happens. But the M50 is one of these ships that I've been dying for. And right now, it's probably the best looking ship that they've put in the game so far. I don't mean like the best looking ship, because you're all going to like your Cutlasses or your Hornets or your Avengers, and the Avengers a beautiful ship. I mean the detail level of the ship is simply gorgeous. It's amazing. And I believe Chris Smith is the Origin person, the person that works on all the Origin ships. And if it was you, Chris, oh my God, I can't wait to see what else happens. So I've talked a little bit about the M50 in the review I have up there, so I'm not going to go over it again. I'll just link it. But this ship is only going to be on sale for a week, ending very shortly. I think it's Friday the 8th. Today is the 5th, I believe, right? So you only have 3 more days to go out there and buy it. And I think that this is going to be one of those variants that they keep in limited production. And just to give you a heads up, when I bought the ship back in, I believe it was October, November, it was only $80. It's already grown by $10, and it's now $90 for everyone that wants to purchase it, which means that in aftermarket prices, it might be a lot more expensive. I'm not a big believer in the gray market. If you do it, hey, it's not wrong and it's not morally wrong. It's just not something I want to do because I feel that you could really get burnt spending a lot of money on a ship like this. But in game, I think it's going to be a lot of money for those that are trying to sell it to y'all. All right, so from there, let's talk about the next big thing. And that's going to be SITREP. So let's go on to Nicole D'Angelo in the year 2944 and see what she has to say in this week's UEE CITREP. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another UEE CITREP with Nicole D'Angelo. In tonight's report, we're going to be centering our first story on a small planet in the outlying area of the UEE space called Charon 3. On that planet, 2 nations, Acheron and Delos, are involved with a huge disagreement in the way that Delos should be handling their government. Governor Tarkin Klast of Delin was brought into the UEE Congress today, along with Governor Armin Fodor of Acheron. The 2 of them are there to explain what possibly could be going wrong between these 2 nations to cause them to be engaged in such a vicious war. In these days, when the Vandal swarm is invading our space at will, it seems pointless that 2 human nations on a small planet should be warring. Little more is known about this story, and we await the UEE Congress to do something about this. And if they do not, please stay away from these 2 small nations on this planet, as you never know what dangers may lie by landing at any one of their stations. In the next story, Aegis Dynamics has once again given us something to report on. A year ago, they began pre-orders on Idris frigates. Yes, I said frigates. Now, you start to see a pattern growing here. The UEE has grown so vast they can't handle all of the border incursions by the Vandal. So the UEE has been allowing the sale of certain military spacecraft into the hands of militia and local corporations to help hold down the borders. Well, the Idris frigate, named after the famous battle in the Tabarian War, is now about ready to be released, I guess you could say that, to the organizations and militia that have purchased them. This is a huge vessel for civilians to own, with a hangar bay able to fit 3 Hornets and many stations for many people on board. This ship is surely to prove to be the largest owned civilian vessel with military capabilities yet. Now, there are some other purposes for an Idris frigate. It can haul a lot of your munitions, a lot of your cargo. It could also be a base for your corporation to move from one planet of control to another. In other words, if you have different planetary systems that are supplying your corporation with the materials needed to build whatever it is you build, this is the vessel that could actually get it done the quickest. Well, we don't know much more about it. We have some photos of it behind us. We await the release of this vessel to those lucky few that have been able to purchase it. Now, there is an Idris M, which is a military version, and an Idris P, which is more set up for militia. And it is the Idris P that we're waiting to be released. And in this next story, we have some good news. It seems that original systems have locked down whatever bugs were impeding the progress of the development of their Arena Commander game, which is set to be released in the near future. Arena Commander is the game that gives our youth and some of us older folks the opportunity to fly starships in head-to-head battles against one another. The starships are taken from whatever the current starships are for sale today in the UEE, and also some, maybe 1 or 2, of the Xi'an and Vandal spacecraft. Now, they've been having some major difficulties with allowing people into the alpha test where they're trying to squash bugs because they were not having the correct network connections. Now remember, when we're talking about these games, we're not talking about somebody on Terra being able to play somebody on Earth or one of the other planets. This is going to be something where in each planet this game will exist and there'll be servers there so people can play against one another. It's a vast universe, and in this case a vast galaxy, and we still haven't locked down the ability to have real-time communications from one planet to another. So when they do have competitions eventually in this game, because they are looking to bring it into the computer sports arenas, they're going to have winners on each planet to fight against each other in the yearly held tournaments on Terra. Now, Arena Commander is currently in alpha, but they've upped the number of participants in the alpha testing from 200,000 to almost 350,000 over the last few days. I guess they're really getting their bugs worked out. For my last story, we're going to jump back to Origin Jumpworks, one of my favorite Starship creators, the people that brought us the 200 and 300 series vessels. The company that makes that gorgeous yacht, the 890 series, has now released the latest racing vessel, the one that we've been talking about for the last few months, the M50. The M50 is going to prove to be one of the fastest ships off the line at this year's Murray Cup. Now, all we know about this ship yet, because it's been released, but I haven't seen it fly yet, is that it is killer. And we have a review of this ship for you now. Welcome to this week's ship review. This week we're going to be looking at Origin Jumpworks M50 Interceptor / Racing variant. This is a beautiful ship, and it is joining its brother, the 350R, for this year's Murray Cup competition in November. The M50 is born out of an idea that we can go faster. Origin Jumpworks has spent the last few years building this baby. She's 11 meters long, 10 meters in beam, 3 meters in height, and weighs in at 12 metric tons. She's a beast. She comes installed with an ACOM Starheat 3 power plant, which is just one size smaller than the one in the 350R. But she is housing the two engines from the 350R, the Hammer Propulsion HM 4.3 TR3 engines. You could actually fit two TR4s in here if you really want to go faster. Underneath the engine console, you'll see a computer hookup right there, and let's get a little bit closer. From here, you can tune your engine and other systems for speed, maneuverability, durability, or whatever. So have at it. While she can't fly, you could practice tuning her. Let's keep walking around. She is a beauty. There is the signature box tail. There are the Origin scalpel and precision maneuvering thrusters. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous ship. I can't wait to see this one in the Ellis system this November. There's another profile image of it. Of course, this one is not armed. Other versions will have room for two M4A laser cannons and two 8X ASIM-20 Stalker missiles. Let's keep looking at her. Oh, she is gorgeous. And underneath, you'll see the fuel scoops, so she could fly in close to a gas giant and suck up that needed hydrogen to make the propulsion units work. She's just got a gorgeous look, and looking underneath her, even the landing gear looks exciting and beautiful. While flying around in space, she's protected by a Gorgon Defender all-stop shield. Now let's get in and see what this baby looks like from the inside. Gorgeous, beautiful. It's almost a shame to step on her to get in. And here is the cockpit, one of the nicest cockpits I've seen. Hopefully we'll be seeing upgrades like this to many of the existing ships. About the same size cockpit as an Avenger, you could see it is a century newer in technology. Beautiful, and everything just where it needs to be, fitting like a glove. That all-round visibility gives the pilot the necessary means by which to spot an enemy early and take him out quickly, or to evade him and stealthily sneak out of the system before detection. Oh, this is just such a gorgeous view. Let's get out and take one last look at the baby I call the M50 Interceptor. All right, here we go, getting down, looking at this gorgeous ship. This is the newest ship that we have to report on this year. Take it in stride, get out there and buy one before they're all gone. Thank you, and join me next week for another review. Well, I hope you like this week's review. One of the coolest things about this ship right now, the current version that we have, is that it is amazingly fast, very small, and has tremendously large main thrusters. This ship is going to be amazing. And its big brother, pictured here, that's the 350R. We don't have one in our hangar yet. We're still awaiting ours to come back from the shop. It's being upgraded with new engines. But, oh my lord, I cannot wait for this year's Murray Cup. Now, Origin Jumpworks has begun delivering these ships to those that pre-ordered late last year. However, there's still some tidbits that you should know. There are many variants that should be out over the coming months. We don't know what they'll be. I could only imagine that an interceptor, a stealth reconnaissance, and of course, a military and civilian courier will be in the works. But currently, the racing version is all we see. The ship itself has not been cleared by the UEE Space Agency for flight. That should be coming within the next couple of months. In the meantime, those of you that ordered it have an opportunity to start working on those engines and tuning them for the upcoming Murray Cup in late November of 2944. I can't wait to see how this ship does against its big brother and longtime winner, the 350R. It's going to be an exciting year for the Murray Cup racing and also for the 2945 Starship season. And with all that, I bid you all adieu. Y'all be safe out there, and I'll see you soon. All right, we're back from that, and I really like doing those sit reps. It's been fun, and you can now catch a sit rep each and every week on Mike Moreland's Galactic Inquiry. Yes, Mike, the Viewmaster Moreland, has allowed me to submit, and I will continue to submit at least one of my stories to him each week. And he is amazing, and thank you so much for letting me participate in your program. And that's available for everyone. So make sure you go out to galacticinquiry.com or patreon.com/galacticinquiry, or there's so many different ways to get there. Just go to galacticinquiry.com and you'll see all the links there. Okay, and I'll have some in the show notes down there. All right, so over the past few weeks, there has been an air of secrecy over what was going to be announced at Gamescom. At the same time, there's lots of little hints being dropped about ships, commercials, systems, and a lot of other things that are going on. The big thing that I see is that they keep on talking about different modules. They're showing us the planet side, they're talking about FPS, they're talking about things being here sooner than later, kind of like the Gladius and other ships that they're talking about. One thing's for certain, by then or around then, we are going to have the Constellation, variants, commercial, and brochure. So the Constellation is going to have its next pass, and the variants and the brochure are going to come out, and the commercial, right? So we're waiting on that, but they allude to two other commercials. Now, if you read between the lines and see what they've been talking about for the last few months, those commercials can be none other than possibly, I'm probably not entirely right here, but the Cutlass, which they keep alluding to being the next one on the block, and then of course the Retaliator. But what if the Retaliator is later? What if that is something that's going to be coming out right around CitizenCon? So what's coming about October, right? What else could be coming out? Well, the hint comes from the game guide for Arena Commander, that in-game lore-based manual, player's manual for Arena Commander, and talking about the imminent release of the Avenger package, right? So the Avenger update to Arena Commander is coming. That's going to be the next ship that we get to fly in that game within a game. So what if that comes with the trainer version, another variant that we don't know about? I mean, there's kind of a picture right here that Sandy put up on her site that looks like it could be the inside of an Avenger. If not, it's something else. Well, what if it's the Avenger that we're getting, right? It's done, it's ready, it's in game. We're going to be flying it around. Why not, right? We know there's a trainer variant. We know there's a bounty hunter variant. What else could there be? Interception. How do I know this? Well, let's talk about the next thing, and we'll try to tie these things together. They just updated the ship stats page, the pledge store, and of course, I keep getting this wrong, Voyager Direct, right? I keep thinking Amazon when I look at them. So they just updated those 3 sections. In the ship, the pledge store ship page, everything is tied into the ship specs. And they list the Avenger as patrol and interception, right? So right now we're calling it a bounty hunter ship, which sounds like interception, right? But there's a difference between interception and bounty hunting. Bounty hunting wants to disable the ship, board it, get the person that's inside of them, grab them, and bring them back to get their bounty, right? Interception wants to go really fast after something, fire all its weapons, and take it out, okay? So what if there's another variant, right? This is speculation, right? This is fun. This is what we're supposed to do. So it could be the Avenger coming out. So we could have those next 3. They're going to be coming out, bam, 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 being the Constellation, the Cutlass. Those 2, I believe, are confirmed. The Avenger, and then later on this year, we'll have the Retaliator. They're also talking about a lot of other things. They're talking about the Avenger, not the Avenger, the Gladiator. They're talking about the Gladius. They're talking about all of the single-seat ships. And I think that's really good. They showed us the first PBR pass on the Vandal Scythe. And there's some of you that paid the $300+ for that or bought it on the gray market. Wouldn't it be great if you saw that in the hangar and were able to actually fly it in Arena Commander? So let's go back one step and talk about the updates to the website. And for this, I'm going to bring it up on my tablet here while you guys look behind me, okay? And this is important that I do this way because I don't want to miss any piece of this as I explain it. The first thing is, when I first started talking about this, I was a little bit critical on my thread inside of the subscriber stand. What I was saying was that it lacks simplicity and ease of use. I redact that. It's actually pretty easy to use, and all the information is right there. It just takes a few minutes to get to look at it. First off, gorgeous graphic, M50, that's the current ship that's being sold as a limited variant, right? We talked about that. Second thing, game packages are separated from the ships, are separated from the extras and the merchandise, right? It's pretty cool. So we have all those different sections. Let's just talk about the ship page, and that's where I'm going to keep it, right? Just for a few minutes. When you go to the ship page, you see these gorgeous graphics, right? Each and every one of the ships has stats, shows you exactly what upgrades that can be installed on it or will when the ship specs are finalized. It shows awesome pictures, awesome screenshots of the ships, both in the front page and then as you scroll through them. And for the ships that already have them, there's a holo viewer. So you're going to need a new browser that can handle WebGL. And I believe that's going to be something like Google's Chrome, or for those of you that are beta testing Yosemite for Mac OS, or I think Internet Explorer 11 or 12, whatever the next one is. All those are going to start bringing that in. What does WebGL does? It actually negates the need for Flash or Silverlight to be able to play all this web-based content. I think it has to do with like all the information that Adobe and other teams threw at the open source community, specifically the HTML5 community, a couple years back when Adobe announced that they wouldn't be making portable versions of Flash anymore. So we might be able to see these coming to all the Android and iOS and Windows tablets also at some point in the future. So pretty cool, right? One of the favorite things as I go into, let's go into a ship that already has its variants. And I'm going to go into the 300 class since it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to just tap on the 300 series, and at the same time, hopefully I'm doing this in the future, in the past, whatever it is I'm doing. First thing is you could click on buying options. When you do that, you see all the ships that you can get. You can get the 300i, and it tells you what things, as I do this, it locks up my tablet. But as you do this, you'll see all the different things that you can get with it. And you'll also see at the bottom the other variants that are available for sale right now, 300, 315p, and of course the 325A. The 350 currently isn't available. I believe it's another one of those that's going to stay a limited production variant for the future. So really tied in to the ship spec page too, because you could click on the technical overview, you could click on the ship specs, you could get back and forth between the two very quickly and easily. Very impressed with what they've done here. It's easily searchable, it's easily gotten around. Unlike the Voyager Direct Store, which we're not going to get into. That one was a little bit confusing, but in the long run, I think it's going to go far. When you go into ship specs, okay, which we'll do over here, everything is separated out now. There's no longer click this button to expand on different variants. You'll see a 300i next to a 315p, next to a 325A, next to a 350R. And that's good because some people that are new to the game that don't know to click on that and don't know there are more variants now can see everything right there full. They've also made it a lot easier to see what things are on the ship. They've separated structural from propulsion, from hard points, and from additional. I guess additional were the upgrade slots from before. So have a trip out there, take a look at the new ship specs, take a look at the new pledge store, and tell me what your comments are. Please list them below. I think they did a bang-up job on this one, and it gives me hope. All right? Hope. It gives me hope. Please, you're our only hope. All right, July report. You know, I'm going to leave it for you to read. Not that I don't want to go over it right now. There's amazing stuff in there, right? FPS coming, 12.5, what did they do with it? They talk about ships and commercials, redacted, redacted 2, redacted 3. There's a lot in there, but everything just alludes to what I just already speculated about. What's coming at Gamescom? What's coming at PAX West? What's coming at Dragon Con? Remember, I'm going to be at Dragon Con. I'm leaving it to Mohawk, M-O-H-O-C, in the Enablers organization to get a meetup together. And the only way that I want you to get in touch with them now is to leave a comment down below just so we could see if there's any buy-in here. If you guys want to meet up at Dragon Con, I'm willing. Otherwise, I'm just going to be over there staring in amazement at everything that's going on. I've never been there, so this is my first time, and I intend on being over by Ben and David Ladyman, who are going to be there and offering any assistance I can for whatever's going on. I know the guys from Sonny's Diner are going to be there, and I'm sure there's going to be some other people that are podcasting. Maybe all the people that do the videos and podcasts could get together too. That would be awesome. So July report, we're going to move on from there. Why? Because, like I said, I could pick that apart, but I really think the August report is going to have a lot more in it, right? Because all the secretive stuff that they're keeping from us is going to be out and they're going to be able to talk about it. All right, deep breath, cleansing breath. All right, next thing that we're going to talk about. I wonder what that could be. We talked about almost everything, right? I don't know. Is there anything missing? Well, yeah, I think I remember now. We're all getting a space plant. We hit the $49 million mark. So that milestone is crossed. That stretch goal is now completed, and we're moving forward towards the $50 million stretch goal, which of course we all voted on. No, we didn't vote on it. Chris just said this is what we're getting, languages, but we're all getting a space plant. Isn't that great? That's wonderful, right? So, I know I made fun of it before, but come on. In World of Warcraft, I've fought hard to catch as many pets as I can. In this game, I'll take every bit of hangar flair I can get. That way I could decorate my office and all the rooms of my hangars to, you know, be different from everybody else's, I hope. But we hit it, and Chris talked about how, you know, there's some other AAA games that spend a lot more money than this game does. They continue to have to make money, and that's why my prediction of all the ships that are going to be single player, because right now we only can use single seat vessels in the Arena Commander because of the restrictions of 32-bit. That's why I think they're all going to come at us real soon. We're going to have Gladius, Gladiator, and everything else that's not a limited production ship coming at us real soon. So that was kind of a in between the lines speculation I'm making, right? That those are all coming. But he equated us to things like Grand Theft Auto 5 and how many millions of dollars were spent on that game. He's right, but I don't see this game losing any steam. As they put things up for sale, people run out there and they jump on them as soon as they have the cash. And I think a lot of us, me, are waiting for the Constellation and Retaliator to be released. And when they are, I think there's going to be a huge amount of ships bought in the 2 weeks that they sell those. First around Gamescom, and then again, I'm predicting around CitizenCon. So that's going to be amazing. So we're on our way to $50 million, and the $51 million stretch goal is now within our sights. Only we have to pick it. And currently there's a vote going on for it, of course, which will be announced when we hit the 51 million. But if I could read this for you, I'm sorry I'm reading this. I try to remember everything, but for now, I'm saving all the memory cells in my brain I have for SITREP. We're going to have to choose between these three things. Org Drop 2, Divisions, Jobs, and 3D Organizational Browser. Org Drop 3, Private Forums for each Star Citizen organization. I don't think either one of those are needed just yet. They're going to make much more sense when the game is live. Galacticopedia, which I think is important right now because I love the lore of the game and I want to know what's going on, and it would be wonderful to read that. And that's your guide to the Star Citizen universe, which ties directly into Star Citizen's persistent universe. I think that's great. Web scoreboards. I think they're great, but I don't want to see scoreboards on Arena Commander when they're still working out controls and still working out balancing and still working on more ships to implement into it, because I really don't want to see how horrible I am. Remember? I stink. And then the known universe map. Currently, the known universe map has got 53% of the vote, which is good, but I see that as more of an in-game, closer to game implementation of something. And essentially, this is what they say about it. An interactive map of Star Citizen's known universe, which will expand along with the game. In other words, as more systems become under control of the UEE or are explored by us, the citizens that are going to go out there and find them, they're going to add them to the map. I think this is an awesome thing, and I can't wait to see it. I really want to see the star map. Really, really, really. But I think the Galacticopedia is a good one too. So my guess is this is going to be the clear winner this time. And just based on the vote that's out there right now, the clear winner for the $52 million stretch goal is probably going to be the Galacticopedia. So can you please all go out and buy an M50 so we can get through the 51 million stretch goal and know that it's going to be this, and then start working on the $52 million stretch goal. All right. I have nowhere to throw this anymore since I'm not in my bedroom, so we're going to cut, and I'm going to come back. All right, so let's close out the show. I had a lot of information in the show today, and I talked very little about anything because most of it is speculative, right? M50, I did the review. I think it's an amazing ship. I can't wait for the race mechanic to be announced. Currently, if this is the way that they're building the ship, obviously it's going to have something to do with high speed and a lot of turning, because this ship could do both. Second thing I talked about, the patch, which was, of course, first. Balancing, weapons damage, fixing the rubber band. Big thing there was that they now have a system for tracking down bugs and fixing them much faster. And, of course, we talked about the updates to the Pledge Store, which I think are amazing. Voyager Direct, not so enthusiastic about. The ship spec page, awesome, great job guys, can't wait to see how that evolves over time. And we talked about the July report, which, like I said, there's a lot in there. Persistent universe, first person shooter module, new ships, new commercials, mocap, female model, right? We've got the female model coming out. For those of us that are female, we don't have to have this avatar that's this bald dude or this, well, it's not ugly anymore. He's actually pretty darn realistic. We could have our own avatars soon. All this stuff is coming at us. and of course the stretch goal. So we had a lot to talk about today. I still have my contest going on, and I really, really, really want you guys to help me with that. I mean, this is important to me and to you because I want to bring you the news both in the game's lore and also in real life every single week. And that 1,000 person milestone is going to unlock the Super Hornet for me to give to one of y'all. Okay? The quicker the better. We've been hovering around the 880 to 895 for a little bit now. Let's just bang this out and get the next 105 people to subscribe. Help me. Everybody do your best. If you like the show, remember to please click the like down below. Share it if you want to. I know a lot of us aren't big social media people, but if you aren't a social media, please share the show. If you want to win that Super Hornet, it's easy. I'm already telling you what to do. You got 3 places to share it. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook, Google+. Get out there, get that done, and then make sure you screen capture each one of your shares. Send it to me. You get 1 entry for each one of my shows, for each one of those 3 social networks that you share on. It's a total of 3 entries per. And then when we hit that 1,000 and maintain it for a week, I'll pick a winner, have a welcome to 1,000 viewers show. Thank you very much, all you wonderful viewers that watch me, and give it away. All right, Super Hornet is one of those limited production variants. Hasn't been around. Might be for a little bit. Hopefully right around Veterans Day again. But this is a good way to get one for free. Last thing. All right. I want to just reiterate. Comment below if you're interested in a meetup at DragonCon. It's important to me. Want to meet the fans of Star Citizen and the crazy fans that watch me. Thank you all very much. I think it would be awesome to meet some of you in person and also get together with the other podcasters and videocasters. And lastly, don't forget my Patreon page, patreon.com/Batgirl. If you want to help support the show, keep it going, and feel like making a pledge for the episodes I put up here, please do. It helps. It helps me go to things like DragonCon, get the equipment I need. I have to put lights in here to get better lighting so I don't look green all the time. And that's my next step. And then, of course, after the lighting, I'm going to upgrade my camera to a much more professional camera so I could do a lot more with the things that I shoot. More skits, more fun, more live on-scene content from the different conventions. I am done. All right? So all of you have a wonderful week. Y'all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon.